Hello and welcome to Two Crones and a Microphone. I am Linda,
And I am Betty.
and we'd like our guest today, Mahala, to say hello.
And I am Mahala, and like also to introduce the diva of Mount Tamanawas, who I'm looking at right now and is right here present in the room.
Perfect.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you. And I am Sally.
All right. We are cultural midwives. Our podcast is about shared wisdom through storytelling and some research from us as experienced crones and longtime friends. We offer experiences and spiritual practices for body, mind, emotion, and spirit to meaningfully connect with our beautiful earth. Walk your talk and act from your heart's desire instead of fear. Maybe that's what everything depends on now, the courage to choose love over fear, even in the face of what feels like chaos and the unknown.
And I would like to thank our sponsor, the Minerva Educational and Wellness Treatment Center. The website is minervaed.com because that's what Minerva is all about also. Trying to dissipate the fear through knowledge, practices. Just check us out, see what you think. And today, as part of our interview with the Crohn's series through Two Crones and a Microphone, we are absolutely delighted to speak to our crone, Mahala Frye. Mahala would describe herself as pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And as we have this great conversation with Mahala, you'll understand why this is true.
So Mahala has spent most of her life in the Pacific Northwest, where she developed a deep love of the water and the mountains, as you know, because she called in Mount Tamawasa. I think I said that right, as we're talking. So the mountains and the trees of the Pacific Northwest, which indeed are beautiful and gracious and amazing. She acknowledges that all of this has guided and augmented her own healing path. She said some of her most favorite times were the years of creating beautiful art jewelry and marketing them at different galleries and fairs and festivals throughout the Pacific Northwest. Believe it or not, she's also skilled at installing flooring and started her own women-owned business quite a long time ago, when that was not necessarily what women were doing, providing custom nosing for stairs made from the different various and beautiful hardwoods.
Wow.
Like, I know, isn't that amazing?
That's
I
so
bet you
cool.
might not have known
I
that.
did not. It's very cool.
So, like all of our interviewees, Mahala has spent many years studying healing modalities and exploring her own natural talents, what some people call gifts. She's a strong foundation of skills and supports in the natural world that assists her in her work, and I know she's going to talk some about that today. She's developed her own method of healing that incorporates many traditions, including Peruvian shamanistic traditions, Native American traditions, and the Perelandra work of Michelle Smallright. She teaches workshops on shamanistic healing and a variety of other topics, all sort of interrelated. I'll turn it over to you, Betty.
Well, Mahala said that her heart has been called to the work of healing Mother Earth, which we've needed for many years, and healing her on an energetic level, believing that the energetic and the physical are linked. And you cannot change one without affecting the other, which I think all of us here do believe that.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
She's guided by the nature spirits and devas and co-creates her healing work with the unseen realms, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And I know you're all saying to yourself, okay, what's Perelandra work? What is the unseen realms? So Mahala, I guess it's now over to you to tell us, how did you even get started on this journey? There's so many things you do. It's amazing.
I wouldn't know exactly how I got started because it's all a little bit here and a little bit there. But I do definitely remember a trip going up to see a chiropractor who was really, really good, worth traveling like 50 miles to get to,
Oh,
and being dropped off or having to stop on the way at a place where ceremony was being done because the woman I was traveling with needed to pick up something there, and meeting a woman named Jackie Brannigan and getting really interested in the ceremony that they were doing, which happens to be moon ceremony that I've been doing for the last 30 or 40 years ever since then.
Mm.
And the woman, Jacqueline Brannigan, that I met and was turned into my mentor, was very into working with the Perelandra processes. And she taught me that. The Perelandra processes are about working with the earth, with devas and nature spirits. And they were developed to help in the garden, to help not necessarily the garden, but to help with the earth and with the forests. And the divas at that time needed a voice, a way to communicate with humans because we were moving into this whole new um, evolutionary place where we are meant to co-create. And so Mikhail Small-Wright developed this system of co-creation with the divas of the land, the divas of trees, the divas of, like, she was working with her garden mostly, and that what she called her um, a way of exploring that in through using the garden. And so and it's like an amazing system. And so if you look at Perelandra-Ltd online, then you'll be able to hook into their website and get a lot more information. But I recommend, if you're going to learn about it, looking at the website and getting the book MAP, Medical Assistance Program, which is about learning to work with the devas and the nature spirits on your own body, which is an easy way of integrating the information in a way that's really understandable. And then you can take it out into um, your yard, your garden, your business. It can be used in almost any application. So, and it's just like, isn't it wonderful to have these incredible nature intelligences that know so much more than you do? They may not know everything you do, but working together, you create something that's incredibly beautiful and fantastic. See, they're here talking. And it also allows you to connect into developing a relationship with beings that you can't see, like the Diva of Mount Tamanawas. Mount Tamanawas is a large rock that is a little small mountain, and it's here in the area. And I've developed a relationship with Mount Tamanawas, and it's like within walking distance of where I'm at, and I can see it out the window where it is. And so when I'm doing this, and we opened up to spirit when we invited our spirit guides in, why Mount Tamanawas was here in the room with me. It was just pretty, and I could feel, yes. So, and is very curious. He's very curious. So he or she. Um, it,
Fantastic. It sounds so exciting, and you're just grinning. For those who are watching on YouTube, you can see our big smiles, and yours in particular, as you're talking about this, and I can feel the excitement building here.
It's very exciting. So one of the things that's very exciting about it is reaching a larger audience with this, the knowledge of this work. A lot of people maybe don't even know that that everything around them is alive and intelligent and would like to
Mhm.
communicate. Not
Mhm.
everybody really wants to communicate, but there's a lot of beings out there that really would like to communicate and be able to work in co-creative way with humans. It's
you know,
important.
I think about the previous podcast when we were talking about water, and Linda talked about talking to the water spirits of the river that she was driving over. that thanked her for blessing the waters and having a relationship. So I just want to make that quick connection because we've talked about this a little, not about what Mahala's talking about, but that notion that everything around us is alive and has energy and speaks to us if we listen.
Thank you. Huh.
I think that's why I love this time of the year, because everything flowers and the trees, even though I have terrible allergies the first 2 weeks, they are blooming, the leaves are coming out, and you can feel the energy out there. You really can. When the ferns come up, I know the fairies love living in the ferns, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
I kind of feel in the winter time, they kind of like go underground, stay warm, stay in their little fairy places. But comes spring, summer, fall, man, they are just out there. Uh, it sounds different, I'm sure, to a lot of people, but this piece of property is just loaded with them. It is absolutely amazing. And I think those of you who've been here, which actually all of us, you can feel it when you step on the land. There is really a different energy here. And some of that I attribute to Mahala, because with the Perelandra work, she has come routinely and cleared the land. Even though she lives on the other coast, she's able to do that from a distance. And I think it's made a huge, huge difference in many ways, keeping us safe, keeping things away that really don't belong here. Quick story, I had to have a lot of tree work done because the ash trees in Pennsylvania have all been infected with the emerald ash borer. They all have been falling down and wreaking havoc. So of course I went around with my tobacco. I blessed all the trees that were getting ready to come down. So one was huge, so there would be no disasters or anything. But I do feel that the intervention of the spirits of the land made a big difference. I really do. Everything went smoothly. Nobody was hurt. I mean, you can feel the difference. You can really feel the difference. And I feel that it's clearer now, actually, without the diseased trees being there. They were actually happy to be cut down. Mahala, does that make sense to you, since we're talking about spirits of the land?
Totally, it makes sense to me. And I remember coming the year after you'd had them cut down, and I remember clearing too, during and after the process. So my experience with trees is that I mean, the trees and a lot of the life that exists on this planet is not really attached, like so totally attached to its physical location. So it's like the ash trees belong to a larger spirit of the ash trees.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to let go of that particular embodiment and move on to someplace else that's maybe a little healthier. They don't want to be sick. They don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
lovely perspective. Thank you. That's a sort of moment of grace there. Thank you. Yeah. Um, hmm. Well, I wonder when we were talking, you talked a little bit as we were prepping for this about how you seek inner guidance. And I wonder if you just share a story or two about what you do as you're getting ready to clear and how you create that space that is going to help in this co-creation that you work on.
I work on creating a relationship that is ongoing, for one thing. It's like, and I do that
Mhm.
by um, getting myself out into nature on a regular basis and spending time with my favorite trees and learning to talk with them and
Mhm.
just being. I have several trees that I have developed a really deep relationship. And so sitting next to them and feeling their energy wrap itself around me, or extending my energy into them,
Mhm.
or dropping myself down into the earth out through the bottoms of my feet and kind of feeling the energy go out. And so developing like a relationship on these different lines of communication is very helpful. And then just getting really, really quiet and making sure that I myself am clear. I clear myself on a regular basis. I clear my own energy every morning before I get going. Um, and I also make sure that I'm well grounded as I start my day, and that means dropping my roots down out the bottoms of my feet and making sure that, that I feel connected, and I feel connected vertically and also horizontally.
Mhm.
And but the big thing about receiving information is to kind of shut up and listen, I feel.
I think that's true for
No.
most of us.
Really?
Oh, wait.
It's true.
It
And we're
is
all
true.
very chatty. This is why we have a
Oh,
podcast,
that's
right?
right. That's
So,
right. Oh, man. That's
you know,
great.
I just have one comment there. There is scientific evidence that corroborates what you're saying, Mahala, because the trees do communicate with each other underground. They let each other know when they need water or food, that's been proven scientifically. So you are
Mhm.
just tapping into that life system between the trees.
Yes, I think maybe you could think of it as a different language.
Well
Um,
Mhm.
said. Yes,
Yes, very well
exactly.
said.
Exactly. I have a small story, which is when I moved here to Ohio in my backyard, there's this gigantic, really old, beautiful maple tree that spreads across 4 properties, all that conjoin each other in the back. And when I first walked in, before I had moved in formally, she sort of waved at me and I walked back to meet the tree. I said, I'm so sorry I didn't meet you when I was first looking at this property, but I'm so glad to know you and that you're here. And there was a picture that dropped into my mind about my outdoor dining set, just a simple table and 4 chairs, but for outdoor use. And she invited me to put it back there underneath her spreading branches. And so I did that. I was like, well, this is a great invitation to the neighborhood. Thank you. So we're continuing our relationship since then.
Wonderful.
It is just amazing what you can find out. I suddenly had a remembrance of way back in, I guess, the 80s when I first started working with Dee Krieger and Oceana, and they were talking about going out and hugging a tree,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you started seeing this in the, various newspapers and news things, about the tree huggers. I remember thinking to myself, I'm one of those tree huggers. I think I'm pretty well grounded, but I am out there hugging trees, let's face it. So, oh, and if anybody wants to know about grounding, remember that was our very first podcast. So
Exactly.
if you go back to that, that's going to help you figure out how to ground before you get started.
And I also love the daily clearing practice that you do, Mihaela, because we've advocated for that quite a bit, including
Yes.
on our YouTube channel, the Golden Light Meditation. But there are so many ways to do this. Betty, you have the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful burden basket
Mm-hmm.
meditation. It's lovely. Sally, were you going to add something?
Well, Linda, I was, but you actually talked about exactly what I was going to say, which was the golden light meditation.
Aw,
So, so I won't repeat that, but thank you for saying that. But no, that is exactly what I was going to say, because I think, you talk, Mihaela, about the things that you do just as a daily practice, and that is some of what we've tried to bring into, earlier podcasts, are the maybe it's a little different than the way you do it, or maybe somebody else has a way that they do it that's a little bit different, but it's the same principle of trying to, keep ourselves as free and clear and able to respond to the world on all the different levels that there are to respond to in. And that does mean hugging trees. I love that because at one point I had that same realization. Oh, I am one of those people. I am also a tree hugger.
Exactly.
And
Right.
now there's research, many of you know that Betty and I are nurses, but there is research that's been done on nurses who go out during their breaks and sit underneath a tree to ground and relax, even if it's only 15 minutes. And it's improved job performance. It's improved nurses' level of stress during the workday. It's improved their ability to communicate with patients. And interestingly enough, some of that research has been done in different parts of the world. So it's kind of international research that's done. So, that's what Betty was saying about, there's research behind what Mahala is talking about. And it's lovely now that we're starting to have the scientific research for what we used to know as a people a long time ago, and we lost touch with
Yeah.
that awareness. I think we've lost touch with that awareness. And so now we have to sort of relearn what we used to know.
Well, Mahala, do you have a particular story about a clearing that you'd like to share? Just wondering.
Um, so in the past, I'm not necessarily doing it right now because of other projects, but in the past I have taken on different pieces of land that I've cleared over once a month, say, just to keep them
Oh,
clear. Like
yeah.
there's a large park near Seattle that actually has a freeway that intersects it.
Oh,
And I was doing that once a month and clearing it and figured that I could just clear the freeway as well rather than cutting it up and doing it twice with two pieces. And so I was doing that over a period of time and then you just kind of forget about it because it's part of what you do. And then one day I was driving down through the that part of the world and I'd been on the road for about an hour and you know how you get in that kind of zone
hmm.
and
Yeah.
then and so I'm zoning along and then all of a sudden it's like wow, there's something very different about this frequency that I'm in right now. What is that? And then I look around and it says, oh, this is the part that I clear. And it just felt so much lighter and better
Interesting.
and happier. It's like, so that was maybe a big turning point for me. And at that point, I was just, doing a lot of practice work. And I was, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this really does work. This is really effective. So.
Oh, that's a marvelous story. Thank you for sharing that. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make a difference. There's no question. And I think you shared something about clearing around land outside of DC as well. And I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
share that story.
yeah, so I was working for somebody up in that area and clearing her space and just kind of noticed how dense the energy is there. It's just dense and connecting into the land. The land just it felt crushed. It's so like the diva of Mount Tamanawas felt free to come in and tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, what you doing here?"
Mm, mm.
And but the land there is just kind of mashed down. It's like it would never kind of like raise its head up because I don't know, it's like years and years and years and maybe 200 years of being people not caring about it. Um so I that was just I mean the first time I connected into the land I actually burst into tears because it was just so
Mm.
sad. So I started clearing I'm pretty careful about not clearing land that's actually owned by people that I don't have permission to clear. But I also feel like public land is fair game. And so I
Mm.
went on Google Maps and found all of the parks and places around and the rivers that I could clear and then cleared it and then things started feeling better. But but we get used to living this kind of density in this morass of kind of like low feeling and low energy and we don't realize what a difference can be made and how important it might be. So I know that there are a lot of people that have me come and clear their homes, especially people with teenagers and little kids, because
Mhm.
this going on a monthly basis just to keep things at a little higher level. And is that, yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, share with our listeners how to contact you. Do you have an email address or some kind of preference, because there may be some listeners who are curious about, having a chat with you or being able to engage you.
I have a email at is Mahala is Mahala underscore is is at hotmail.com. Works to get me. Also, um, yeah, and then there's I have a website which is I'm not sure. I'm not going to give that to you because I'm not sure how long it's going to stay up, but
Yeah.
maybe so.
Okay. And to spell Mahala, it's Mahala.
That's correct.
Good. Good. Great. And, no worries, just an opportunity here. And I wonder, can you tell us something about a practice you do every day? Because I know our listeners will be very interested in that, and I suspect it's going to end up being our wisdom practice. So,
Oh, all right. So I sit and I go within and I drop my energy down. I feel my energy go from my heart down through the bottoms of my feet and go into the very center of the earth, like following this golden cord. I say hello to the Great Mother when she's living down there, and then I bring my energy back up through that golden cord. I move it up through my body and up through my heart and then out through the top of my head. And I send it up to source, circle around and source, say hello, thank you, bring that loving energy back down through the top of my head and into my heart and circle it around. And then I blow it out through all of me out into the room around me.
lovely.
Mhm.
Thank you. I know you said something too about loving to take a walk outdoors.
I do. So I feel like that's an important part of me maintaining. I don't get to it every day because, your
Mhm.
life, okay, but
Yeah.
um, I take about anywhere from half an hour to an hour. And am very blessed where I'm at right now, where there's some lovely forest next to me. And I can walk on the forest trails, go down to visit this wonderful little stream like Chimacum Creek and say hello to her and then come back up. But quite often, if the weather is appropriate, I will go barefoot. And I feel like that's being barefoot on the earth is also really helpful to me to be connected. I know in the winter I don't feel nearly so connected, but oh, my poor little feet don't like going out in the snow.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. How many of us as kids wandered around barefoot in summer in particular? I know I did. So,
Yes.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's lovely. So basically, staying in touch with the land and taking a walk when you can.
When I can, yeah. And if there are the different trees that I connect to
Yeah.
and again, talking to the stream. Yeah.
And the fairies and the devas out there, because they
Mhm.
always come out and connect. I know when I walk Luna, I have the same when we walk it. Although I wear shoes because I live in Pennsylvania, which I think is the tick capital of the world. Yeah, I don't go out without shoes anymore. But yeah, I mean, and Mahala, you could have started this years ago and charged a small fortune for forest bathing because that's what people are doing now.
It's
Forest
true.
bathing, which is really just walking through the forest.
Right.
So
Yeah,
clearing, grounding, meditating, sitting
Yeah.
underneath a
exactly.
tree, connecting with the spirits of the land. So
That's
those
right.
of you who are interested in learning more about that, if you Google forest bathing, you'll find research articles and different things that are actually talking about what Mihail is talking about.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's
Just
free. It's
And it's
free.
free. It's free.
just so lovely. Well, I want to summarize the wisdom practice. I think would be very accessible. I love your meditation with the golden cord, but I think just taking a walk outside and taking in the land and the spirit of the land wherever it is you are. It may be a home base, you may be traveling, but think about the fact that wherever your feet have landed is home for now, because of course we're all at home anywhere on the earth.
Yeah.
So we'd like to propose that as a sort of small practice for a wisdom practice for this particular podcast. And I think we have some shout outs and promotions here. And Sally, would you like to take off on our 4 pillars?
Sure. You know, before I do that, though, I want to add on something that the first time I heard things, you know, we hear kids hear things, but
Yeah.
as an adult, the first time like I heard a flower talk to me, or I
Mm,
thought I saw a fairy buzz by,
hmm.
but a hummingbird, it looked more like human than a humming. You know, the first time you have that experience, just allow it to be without judgment, and you'll
Well
start to hear
said.
more things. I think we've said that before in other podcasts, that sometimes when you start to dip into the realm that we're calling unseen, that it's really easy to discredit our intuition or our vision or even our hearing, because after all, why would a tree be talking to you? So, you know, I think that grounding and allowing yourself to be open and not expect, but accept what comes to you without expectation will help you move your experience forward. Because Mihaela, I want to assume this, but I'm assuming that you've worked many years to get to a place where you've enhanced your gift and ability to be able to do what you do. And we can all get there
Mm-hmm.
if we take that first step. So
Beautifully said.
sorry for going. I'll step off my little mini
No,
bandwagon there.
that was important. Thank you.
Right. Um, so, you know, our 4 pillars at twocronesandamicrophone.com are our touchstone of Oshna and the way she lived her life and her teachings, our own collective life wisdom as crones, our very interesting gifts like Mihaela, who we interview, and your responses. Because remember, our goal is to create community. See the twocronesandamicrophone.com website for our in-person and online classes. Hook into Instagram and Facebook, and remember our YouTube channel. We always want to hear what you think when you listen or when you hear things, and what your favorite podcast or wisdom practice is, because you know we do like to bring those back onto the show. So if one of you go out and do what Mihail is talking about, and all of a sudden you hear a tree say, "Hey, it's about time," let us know, because we do really want to know those things. I'll turn it over to you, Betty.
Well, the other thing I want to add too is if you do want to get in touch with Mihaela, if you ask us, you know, either through 2cronesandamicrophone.com or on our Facebook page, we will be happy to forward her information to you. She is just an absolutely fabulous person. I mean, there's a whole
Mm.
side to her we haven't even touched. You know, I own a pair of her earrings that she made many years ago. And when I know I'm
Oh,
going into battle, those are the earrings I wear because they're my warrior earrings, and they look like little warriors. There's a male and a female warrior, and it's pretty amazing the energy that they have connected to them. So Mahala, I thank you for that. And I thank you for all the blessings that you have brought to us by clearing our land, by teaching us about the fairies. I mean, I had no idea, and I'm Irish. I've heard about them. To me, they're leprechauns, but they're two different things. So thanks so much. And thanks so much for being on our podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been totally my pleasure. It's just
Yay.
three of my favorite people on the whole planet, and I get to hang out with you.
Yay.
Back at you.
Yay.
Back at you. Right? So thank you to everybody who signed up for our newsletter. It's good to see that our audience is growing. And if you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up for our monthly newsletter for a more in-depth look at the variety of topics we include in our podcast. Please also, consider looking at the blogs that are there, which are slightly different topics, but always interrelated to what we're talking about. And there'll be some more information that will come up in July, actually, on some of what Mahala is talking about in terms of working with the earth, and there'll be references and stuff to the Perelandra work. Our May newsletter, features frog as the harbinger of spring and the deepening of that time, because we are in the frog's return moon. And just stay tuned to our next podcast as we move further into working with the element of the earth. Check out our featured bio that will be up about Mahala on the Two Crones website. So we have an amazing picture of her in the middle of a forest that you'll love to see for those of you who are listening. And haven't had a chance to view her, and we'll have more information about her along with her Hotmail account in writing, so that you can follow up with her if you want to directly. So Betty, back to you.
Well, I guess unless I'm mistaken, I think that we have reached our ending point here. And of course, my sign off is always that we're here to help you navigate the muddy waters of our times. And Mahala, thank you for the advice you've given us and the techniques you've given us. I mean,
Yeah.
we start putting all this together, things are going to get a little bit easier for us. Really, I really believe that.
Agree.
I do too. Yeah, you've had a powerful influence in all our lives. And so thank you. Really appreciate everything that you do. And this is where I usually say, seek your glimmer. And then, Mahala, I wonder if you have any last word you'd like to express to our listeners.
I just would like to say, if you haven't in the past reached out to nature, now would be a great time. This nature.
Yeah.
I love that.
Beautiful. Absolutely
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you.
And of course, Linda's the one that pointed out that those of you who are watching this on YouTube, that there's a beautiful picture of Mother Earth behind Mahala as she's been talking. Because there are so many other things that have to do with preservation of the earth, as well as co-creating, that Mahala's involved in, that we didn't even have an opportunity to touch on. But I will end by saying what I always say: remember to walk in beauty. Kidishte. All is made beautiful. Got something else you want to add?
I just wanted to say for people to check out the Fairy Congress too, which is coming up in July. That's my partner is very involved in it, and I have been too for the last few years. And that's part of what it's about. Connecting with the nature spirit in the different realms is also happening at Fairy Congress. So you have a chance. Check it out.
Excellent.
Is there a website for that, Mahala?
Yes, www.fairycongress.com.
Oh, that's simple. Yeah, easy to remember. There you go.
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome. And
Thanks,
remember, remember, all is made beautiful. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now.
Hi, my name is Mahala Frye, and I work energy. I work with the land, and I work with the spirits and the devas of the land as well. And I am been studying this and working with this for about 30 years, maybe as many as all of my life. I started talking to mountains when I was a kid. I didn't tell anybody because they would have thought I was crazy, and I actually thought I was crazy too, but but I decided to be okay with it. And so then when I grew up and started to learn, started learning ceremony, started doing Reiki, started my shamanic path. I studied core shamanism with the Harner Institute and the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. And I also studied Peruvian shamanism with a wonderful woman named Mary Blankenship. And the Peruvian shamanism was interesting because not only were you talking to animals and spirits of the land, you were also, the spirits of the land included mountains. And so that tied me back to my past when I was little, and it resonated deeply within me. I raised a family, I supported them. I didn't have a whole lot of time for learning and practicing, but I did along the way. And then when the family was out on their own and doing quite nicely, thank you, I started turning my attention more to working with the spirits and the devas. I learned a system from Perelandra that is very functional and easy and simple to learn. It's takes a little bit of practice, but not a lot. It's like a recipe book for working with devas and nature spirits and the land, and learning that and practicing that over the years has given me a great deal of skill and some amazing relationships with mountains and rivers and the earth herself. I'm very connected to the earth and just love her deeply. And what I do, I know, has a big part of her healing. And there are more of me out here doing what I'm doing. They may call themselves different things, and they may work in different traditions, but it all works and it's all beautiful. And there's so many of us that we can just that are starting to really push this forward. My wanting to add life back into the land. There is some land, my experience is that there is some land that is so pressured by human existence that it's dead. It feels very dead, or it feels very crushed. The places back like around the capital in Maryland are those places make you cry when you go in and connect in deeply with the land, because they are so crushed and so depressed and difficult to know exactly what to do to heal them. Although I went back at this one particular place and did a lot of land clearing in the different parks around the area that I was working with, and that may have helped. I don't know. I haven't gone back and checked lately, but working in
Hi, if you're enjoying Two Crones and a Microphone, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. Enjoy timeless wisdom from modern times, all served up by women in the know.